everyone, and welcome to Connections for Life. I'm Ted Pete.
I'm Jack Guba here in Thailand.
That's right. You know what's funny is that I normally have my North Face. I couldn't find it, so I'm wearing this. You're wearing that, and Ted's wearing his daughter's hat. So, what does that say?
Miami.
The New York Spankies? What's this say on it?
No, Miami Beach Golf Club or something.
Oh, it's one of them.
Was it $87 hat you got?
It's one of those. It's one of those hats. Every year he goes, he comes back with a funny looking hat. Last year he was the painter, I think, or 2 years ago. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Hold that thought. I'll go get it.
No.
You have it?
I do.
Go get it if you have it.
Why? Did you get thrown out? Like, what happened?
You live there now? Can we take a tour of your new place?
Did Eileen tell you had to move your closet?
Is this like cribs? Can we take
I
a
just
tour?
left it there. There's my hat from
There it
last
is.
year. Here's my hat from this year.
That's a much better hat.
There's another one too, though.
The
There
pink
is,
one's
there's
bad.
Before that
was-
literally had like the little squigglies.
That was 3 years ago. That was Orlando.
All right. Well, anyways, Chad, I like your.
And no, I didn't. I just left this hat here when I was here last
Are you
time.
sure? Right. That's what you tell everybody.
I like your homage to Thailand.
Thanks.
Thailand,
I
right?
think my internet's going to quit on us.
Ours will be fine. We'll just continue on.
You can.
If you
jump
could just come
in.
back for, if you could just come
How-
back.
Hey, so serious
Without
question.
further
It's
ado.
been a while, guys. We're
Yeah,
all
it's been
over
a
the
while.
place. We're having a tough time finding people to interview, so I just want to start out this whole episode with.
Well, we're not.
Can we
wait,
get somebody to interview, please?
We're not really having a tough time. We're just not asking anybody.
Well, it is tougher. Nobody's around. Like when you can, when somebody says they can do it, sometimes they can't do it for 3 weeks. Or a year ago, somebody could do it in 3 days.
I
Like,
think what we really need to focus on.
Yeah, like, you want to do it
Is-
tomorrow? Sure.
No, I think we really need to focus on like doing interviews like when we're at shows, so we can do
Yeah.
like a whole bunch.
they're banked.
Right. And then we can kind of, relax a little bit because we got so accustomed to doing these because we were home all the time.
Yeah.
And now that we're all traveling, it's infinitely more difficult. So, anyways, I know everybody misses us.
Oh
All
yeah.
the emails and letters I get about where are you guys and how come I.
Jeff Feacham did last week ask what was going on. That he said he hadn't seen a video in a while. He was my first upset. Like he's the first guy.
No one said anything to me, so I just assume no one cared.
I don't think he cared. I just think he wondered what was going on.
So do we.
Oh,
So do we,
God.
Jeffrey.
So what have you guys been up to, man? We've been busy. I mean, busy. Joe?
Not really. I don't know.
It's
just
been
feel
weeks,
like-
so it's really tough.
I just feel like it's not even like I have so many meetings and stuff now. Like it's just like a constant like onslaught of things and phone calls. And then when you're not, they're traveling and
And when you're traveling, you can't get caught up with anything.
You can't.
right. But even when
can't.
you're traveling though, like I don't know, like it seems like now though, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like my total motivation is to leave and then get back as soon as possible. So to cram as many things into that time period. So like it's like pure chaos. So I don't know. It seems weird. It just seems
Well,
different.
It's every day. There's every day somehow I have 3 to 5 meetings.
Yes.
Regardless, even if I'm away, like
Yeah.
there's still meetings where I'm like, oh, I can't go to that. Like
Right.
you know what I mean? It's very interesting though, because
There's just a lot of moving pieces right now.
and I'm very comfortable with it. I mean, it's become good to be part of my family and the whole change. I mean, that's kind of a weird topic. We didn't really come with many topics today.
That is a
but
valid point, though. Like the way you just said.
it's been
like,
3 years. I mean, we're coming up on 3 years in about 2.5 weeks of what we've been doing. And what made that ring in my head really is next week I'm going to the Western PA Corrosion Committee little show they have every year, and it's tiny. It's nothing huge, but literally 3 years ago, I met Frank Rampton in Monroeville at the DoubleTree, which
I know that one.
which is not
Yeah, you
very
do
nice.
too.
Which is not very nice
Yeah,
anymore.
I know. We stayed.
But
there,
I
Joe.
met him the night before for dinner there, and the next day was Western PA, and they canceled the Corrosion Committee show while I was having dinner with Frank. And then I left dinner and I drove home and didn't even stay the night. I literally drove home and
I was in DC.
And then I had to pick up Logan 2 days later. I
Right.
went to pick up Logan from Michigan. It all got shot down.
Well,
2 weeks, guys. Just 2 weeks.
That's the crazy
Yeah.
thing is like, so during when it outbroke, I was at Connex,
Yeah.
Dan, and
All right, you're in
I
California.
flew
Now
to
you're going there
Cali.
again in 2 weeks.
What's that?
You're going there again in 2 weeks.
And I am going there again.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, and so it's crazy to be like, I'm going back to
Yeah, it's kind of like we talk about it kind of going back to normal. While things have gone back to normal, I don't think our stuff will ever be normal. Just because of, I mean, I'm so much more efficient now than I was 3 years ago, as weird as that sounds. Like,
See, I feel almost less efficient. I don't know.
I talk to everybody. All I have is talk to people on Teams calls. Like, I can make a full sales call through Teams. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some advantages to that. I mean,
there's some that you still have to go, right? You have to.
Well, it's not even. I think the one thing that I figured out is, like, if you've been working with people for several years,
yeah,
right, there's really no reason that you need to go run to their office, right? Because you kind of already have that relationship built. If it's a new thing, like, you should probably meet, go out to lunch, have dinner, like, know each other a little bit. The stuff.
I was listening to the Gary V podcast the other day, and he said in it, he goes, people are extremely inefficient. They have hour-long meetings where they do 7 minutes worth of work. If you were able to cut out the BS and just operate within those parameters of like, hey, I'm going to have a 15-minute Teams call with you and we're going to accomplish everything in that amount of time and then go on to the next one, you would get so much more done in the day. And I sat back and that's why I think that's probably where the seed got planted in my head, where I was like, I feel like I'm less efficient. Because you're right, on a lot of these calls that we do on Teams, while it's more convenient because we don't have to go there and it's more efficient because you're not driving 3.5 hours in a car to sit in an office room and have an hour and a half meeting and then go to another one in the same building and another one in the same building with different people. But you're sitting here and, we're doing, half hour, 45 minutes of that is that typical stuff. And if we're on Teams, yes, we're more efficient, but we're still having an hour-long meeting. You know what I mean?
Joe's gonna yell. Look at Joe. Look at Joe getting. Look at. It's okay, Joe.
You know what's crazy is that you can hear a dog, but like if I played something on my phone, you can't hear it.
We did that the other day.
I don't understand what the deal is with that. No, Teddy, I agree with you. I kind of disagree with Gary Vee a little bit, and I mean, he's much smarter than me and is way more successful, so he's probably right. But I think that if you just broke those meetings down to just having conversations specifically about the business purpose,
that you lose the
human interaction that a lot of people still really crave. And I think we realized that over the.
I mean, I think it's funny when I talk to some of our biggest and one of our best customers in this industry, which is MRC. I don't care to say it. They're one of our really good partners, but we're the only people they turn their cameras on for.
Yeah.
Like every time they come on, they have to readjust the
weird
camera.
To me. That's weird to me that people don't turn their cameras on. Like, I'll go to a meeting and I'll be the only one out of five my camera.
Yeah. I think that's an upskill thing because I have the same. I'm like, I just turn your cameras on.
Right.
I just think it's weird to have a video call
without
being on video. Why don't we just call it? You pick up the phone then. So the interesting thing is, and I think I'm the very first one. I think I was the very first person in the entire world. No. To do a video call when the pandemic hit. Because the day that everything canceled, Adam and I had a Zoom call on my iPad from a rest area with Washington Gas. We were headed to Washington Gas, and they were like, you guys can't come in here. Like, everything's shut down. And we were like, okay, can we call you? So we called them and had a literally video call. And I remember getting up to call Adam, and I was going like, that was so weird to like do that. And now it's the norm. Commonplace, but not really. Everybody doesn't turn their cameras on. I think that just people are like
I like force people into it. It's just funny.
But I think a lot of people are just like paranoid about like they're supposed to be at work and they might like their hair might be like, oh, all messed up.
Yeah.
Or like, they might be wearing a hat or a sweatshirt, our normal attire. Yeah. Can you take it off now?
I'm excited. I'm going to Thailand in July. I'm really
but
fired up. I can take it off. Is this better?
Yeah, much better. Yeah. I love the way the string pushes up your neck fat. Yeah.
you got triple chins now. So anyways,
So
I
why
mean,
don't you, Joe, why don't you tell
Corbin.
us what we're going to be doing moving on here?
I thought I was going to do that.
No, you're going to give us the description of all the stuff because you have it in front of you, but Joe's going to give us the.
So we want to do gas fact later or not at all?
Up to you. I
Are we
can go
still
for
doing
gas.
that?
I could go for a good old gas fact. I just
Good
don't have to
old
give me a sec.
Fact of gas.
I could go. I could
Where's the
really.
background chat?
I don't mind the old facts of gas.
Fact of gas. Gas fact.
Oh, wrong one.
I'm going to tell you.
My bad.
Do those anymore.
We've had some funny segments.
I'm retired. The idioms are retired. So
The idioms are retired. We used them all.
you guys know what LNG is, right?
Well,
LNG.
what? What'd you say?
LNG.
Yeah, alphabet. The letters in the alphabet.
Come
I'm
on.
gonna assume it's an acronym as well.
I said it.
It's liquid natural gas. So we've talked about this in the past. Why would you liquefy natural gas? Anybody?
It's easier to move, transport,
Easier to
transportation
transport.
purposes.
So to liquefy natural gas, you have to cool it to a temperature of, we've done this one before, so this isn't the gas fact. Does
Really
anybody
low.
remember? It's a
Negative
minus
Data
63.
retention.
Negative 63.
negative 260 degrees Fahrenheit.
I was close. I had the 60 part. The 6. I had 1 out of 3 numbers. It's good.
I don't know how close, but okay. So basically the heavier components in natural gas are liquids, right?
Okay. Yep.
So those are natural gas liquids are ethane, butane, propane, and all of those things are byproducts that are used to make what every day?
Yep. Fuel.
What are they? Plastic.
Yeah, all different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
A lot of plastics,
A little bit better in the
So
direction.
anyways,
Make them-
LNG gas takes up blank. I'll give you the numbers. Blank the space of natural gas, which is to save space. So during shipping, it maximizes the energy transported, right? So the numbers are 1/100th of the space, 1/200th, 1/400th, or 1/600th.
1/600.
I agree.
It is 1/600th.
I
So
just feel
basically,
like
that's like
maximizing.
taking the size of like a beach ball and shrinking
Yeah.
it down to like the size
Like a
of a
marble.
like a ping pong ball.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So think
Wow.
about that. It has to be.
I have a question. I have a really dumb question, and I don't know if we would have the answer.
Wait a minute. Before you get on to your question, I just want to say this is a shout out to Jim Shower because he's a big dork. Because on
When this question's going to be for Jim Shower.
on LinkedIn, he wrote, "It may be 1/620th, but I'm an LNG nerd." Okay. First of all, I wasn't being precise. Okay. I don't know much about it. I researched it on the internet, and that's what it told me. So, Jim, it may be 1 out of 620, depending on how good you are. I think, but the average is 1/600th. That's what I'm saying. Go for it. Go forward, Chad, with your question.
I forgot what I was going to say. I got lost in Jim
No,
Shower.
come on. Here.
I don't remember.
Jim also says
I
those
wouldn't have told you I didn't remember.
Jim also adds the DOT LNG trailers rolling down the road
Oh.
full of approximately 820 MCF, I just assume million cubic feet, of usable natural gas, enough to feed a typical Minnesota home for its natural gas needs for 9 to 10 years.
Wow.
Hold on.
Interesting.
That's one truck.
One truck holds 820 million cubic feet. I assume that's
How do you make something negative 263 degrees? Is my
lots
question.
of ice.
Like how much energy is there in that? What is like?
Yeah, there's
I
a
don't-
lot of things I don't know in life. That's just
It just seems really cold. And I assume pretty tough to do.
Can
What's
you
the
imagine
coolest
like
shit that makes-
accidentally touching something at that temperature?
You would
Your
probably
hands
just
would
it would be
fall
like
off.
Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, which we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Because you look like Raiden. Finish him.
I'm looking up what the coldest temperature you can chill something to.
Can you find out how you chill it that cold? That's more important.
We need a producer look these things up while we talk.
While we do this, Chad, why don't you tell
So that was
us
me.
about the new segment or what we're planning to do?
I don't know if it's a new segment based on old stuff. We so for those of you newer
Living under a
participants or
rock.
watchers or whatever we're gonna call you.
Wait a minute,
the newer
really quick.
people-
Just really quick, if you really want to blow your brains. The coldest liquid in the world is liquid helium, which is negative 452 degrees.
Is that what they burn warts off with?
I don't
Or freeze warts off with?
think
yeah,
that's
that's
nitrogen.
compound
I don't
W.
think-
That's what
I don't
it
think
is.
that's helium, is it? I don't know, maybe.
I know it's something. What is it that they use to freeze? those things.
Liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's only 196 degrees. Negative.
Negative.
So, anyways, back in December of 2020, we put on a thing called the Upsco Expo. Well, Joe and I did. Teddy was busy. You
Sleeping.
It was true. You were busy.
I'll tell you what, Ted, go on there and find one cameo of you, and you can say you did it.
No, there was just no need to say that. There was just like, hey.
Well, I think it's going to become pretty obvious when we.
Well, I'm just worried that people, when we introduce, they're going to be like, "Why didn't Teddy introduce anybody ever?" So I just wanted to put it out there in the first one.
Mostly because he's lazy and he doesn't do much.
So I thought he was going to go with, "I resemble that remark," but he didn't. Which is
you opened the door. I'm gonna walk through it. I wasn't gonna say nothing.
So December 2020, we took our major principles as a company and we essentially put out. We did an online live expo and we recorded all of those presentations from all of these people, ranging from Frank Rampton, Trenton Wax Tapes, all the way through to how plastic pipe is made, to tracer wires, to tracer wire connectors, all these things.
They've been hidden in the archives.
Yeah, nobody really knows we have them. And we have these, and we also have some from the corrosion one we did in March of 21 as well. But when we can't find somebody necessarily to talk to for the week, we want to put out some good information. And all these things are not based really on sales or things like that. It's more based on the
knowledge
for the industry. Well, it depends. Yeah. Well, it depends who you got too. Some are a little salesy. But
yeah, we're gonna apologize in advance for those, but either way, there's still a lot of good information in there. So I think somebody might find some value in it. At least we hope.
So so we decided to start today, right? This week we have Mr. John Ryan from Innovative Trench Solutions. I don't want to go too much into it because you do it at the beginning, pretty much. So I don't have to jump right in. He's a past guest on CFL. Makes some really neat products that he made himself. But like I said, I don't want to go.
Made, patented, and created, for the industry. John is a since retired.
You say all this in there.
I'm just saying he's so for the people that didn't get to the interview yet, like he's 30 years or something like that, retired guy that was with NYSEG, New York State Electric.
You do a much better job on the video.
Yeah, I was reading something then 3 years ago, so give me a break. So
2.5.
The rails are off the wheels. What was that?
Certainly are.
I think that was even worse than the original one.
I know. I did it on purpose.
I don't know if you did.
The rails are coming off the tracks.
Tracks are off the rails.
The show is
maybe that pink hat's like. Can you get rid of that hat? Both of you.
The show is off the air.
I feel like I'm talking to my 8-year-old and the guy I buy. We're gonna go some weird place there.
This is great.
Can you just get to the next part, please?
So, without further ado, welcome to the show.
We have lost.
Today we have John Ryan doing proper spacing of tracer wire and joint and trench. John is the president of Innovative Trench Solutions, or affectionately known as ITS. They're a manufacturer of polyethylene spacers for the underground utility system. John has pretty much dedicated himself to educating and assisting the industry to achieve the safest utility installations possible while improving all the public safety and initiatives. John's background: John has 30 years of natural gas distribution and transmission experience in the utility sector, managing gas construction, maintenance, and damage prevention activities at Avangrid until his retirement earlier this year, 2020. So you couldn't ask for a better guy to talk about safety and damage prevention. So with that being said, John, I'm going to turn my microphone off, turn my video off, and I'll let you get started.
Thank you very much, Joe. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining my track here today. Kudos to the Upsco folks for putting this Upsco Expo together. That's a mouthful, Upsco Expo. I hope that you'll find this presentation today both interesting and informative. What I'd like to do is, obviously the name of the track is proper separation of utilities and proper tracer wire placement can prevent costly and unnecessary incidents while ensuring the safety of the public and your employees. So what I'd like to do is go through the presentation and talk to you a little bit about the challenges and some of the problems, and then towards the end of the presentation, talk about some of our solutions that we've come up with at Innovative Trench Solutions and have been able to assist the industry for quite a few years now. So moving on, each year there are numerous unnecessary incidents reported caused by installation defects and methods, which result in third-party damages, gas leaks, fire, and even tragic explosions. Some of the problems that have been around. So Joe said, Joe mentioned that I've been in the business for 30 years. 15 years of my career I spent as a union gas fitter, pipe fitter, and then moved through quality assurance, leaks, supervisor leaks and locating. And for my last 10 years, I was manager of construction, construction and maintenance operations for a utility company. The problems that have been around since I was hired into the apprentice program back in 1989. The issues are still there. The issues are still very real. There are, like I mentioned earlier, there's plenty of documented incidents of insufficient separation of tracer wire issues. So I'd like to just run through a few of them and talk about them, and then we'll go through some solutions. So the first problem that I would like to speak of is inadequate separation of utilities in a common trench. Now you see this common trench here. There's a couple 1-inch gas services, there's tracer wires, the primary, there's telecommunications, telephone in this trench. And although this appears to be an exaggerated common trench, and it is a mess, it's an actual photo that was sent to me by an inspector of one of our now customers of Innovative Trench Solutions. So as you can see, this is quite a mess. And common trenching is the preferred method of underground residential developments that are being installed today, done correctly. There's tons of benefits for common trenching, such as shortened timeline from planning to design, shared costs, smaller right-of-way requirements, less congestion of underground utilities on customer property, which in turn helps with the reduction in excavating damages, not having utilities scattered all over the customer's property. So when done correctly, common trenching is a great method of installation, but done incorrectly, there are some risks. And one of those risks is the number one risk for common trenching: electrical faults. So electrical faults, can cause thermal degradation of underground electric cables, resulting in extreme heat, hot enough to melt and damage polyethylene gas lines that provide service to our customers. Obviously these situations have resulted in gas leaks, fire, explosion. Some of them not so serious, and some of them very serious. I went to the PHMSA website, 20-year incident report, and I pulled up just a handful of incidents that I'm not going to go through. These incidents, they're all there that you can check out yourself. But the one that stands out in my mind, and the one that prompted Innovative Trench to come about, was the incident in South Riding, Virginia, where a young family, the first night in their new home, the house exploded, and the wife had passed away from her injuries to this explosion. And the findings, it took a long time for the findings to come out, but the findings for this explosion were insufficient separation between the electric line feeding the residents and the gas line. And the end result, and it resonates with me today, is straight from the report said, had there been adequate separation, this tragic event would not have happened. So that kind of prompted Innovative Trench, the inception of Innovative Trench Solutions. We knew that there, was a better method, to try to get this separation and keep this separation to prevent incidents like this. So I pulled a few of these. It's something that's been going on. we're really not getting a handle on it. We have these fault incidents every year. I'm sure, you folks that are on the call have either been personally involved with a fault or have heard about these electric faults causing heat to the gas line. So problem number 2 was, improper installation of tracer wire. Now, some of you may look at the picture on the left and say, that looks okay. When I look at the picture on the left, I see the picture on the right in my mind. And what that is a piece of 12 gauge tracer wire that's melted into a piece of 6-inch polyethylene gas line because of the way it was originally installed. Now, lightning strikes, down power lines, stray voltage, all could be cause for this type of incident to occur. This particular incident happened to be a down power line, a 34.5 kV line in a storm, came down and arced through the pavement into water under the pavement, and the water carried the current to the tracer wire. Big problem. Some not such a problem. Some very much of a problem. The first one here, so here's some more incidents that I pulled up off PHMSA and as well as the Canadian news outlet for the first one in Summerland, Canada. This is the only tracer wire incident that I'm aware of that caused explosion with multiple fatalities. But again, this particular incident prompted Innovative Trench Solutions to dedicate themselves to try to figure out a solution to this issue of tracer wire burnups. And in this particular incident, Dr. George Morrison and his wife Colleen were involved in an explosion at their residence. The day prior, there was an electrical storm, lightning strike to the tracer wire. Tracer wire was wrapped around this 1-inch service that fed the house. Gas migrated throughout the night, and they were killed the following morning in an explosion in their house. So not a common occurrence, but like one occurrence like this is too much for a utility company to deal with. So there's some other ones on here: gas leak with ignition, gas leak with ignition, gas leak with ignition, gas leak, explosion, hospitalization. They're all there. If you want to go out and take a look at it. Most of the time on the PHMSA website, lightning strikes a tree. Tree has roots carry the current to the tracer wire in contact with the pipe causes a leak. And the third problem, which could be more prevalent than the other two, is third-party damages due to gas facilities as a result of tracer wire becoming displaced during the trench on the original installation. So in my career, as a manager, these are the damages that you really did not want to see come across your desk. Was where the tracer wire was marked out correctly, but the facility was damaged, potentially outside the tolerance zone even in some cases. And in those cases, these damages fully are on the company. The locator did his job. The third-party excavator did his job, sticking outside the tolerance zone. And you get this, and I've seen this in my career. I've seen where you have a 24-inch trench, you have the tracer wire, you have the pipe, you have a bucket of sand being dumped from 3 feet above the pipe, and the first thing that wants to move is the tracer wire. So we came up with some solutions to try to help this situation, and we've been doing that for quite a few years now, helping the propane industry, the natural gas industry, electric. So throughout my career, I've asked my counterparts, I've asked my customers, and I've asked potential customers, do you really know where your poly gas pipe is? I mean, really know. And they'll say, oh, of course I know. I know where my pipe is. It's buried 4 inches above the tracer wire, or it's buried 4 inches below the tracer wire, or it's laying alongside of the pipe, Or we, believe it or not, we still get the dreaded, oh, well, it's taped to the pipe, right? Well, unless you're part of that dreaded category, you really don't know where your gas pipe is. You know where your tracer wire is, I'll give you that. But if either one of those two items moved in the trench during backfilling, you've lost total location of your polyethylene gas pipe. And I'd like to talk about a couple of these. You know, people want to do the right thing. They want to separate it by sand, right? They want to put it 4 inches above, 4 inches below. But my question would be to them, well, how do you know it's 4 inches? Do you have somebody in the trench that's measuring with a ruler that you have 4 inches of sand between the gas pipe and the wire? And with that, are you taking into consideration the compaction of the sand? The compaction of 4 inches of fluffy sand, you know, could compact to almost no separation now between the wire and the pipe. And are you also taking into consideration if you're digging the trench with an 18-inch bucket wide, and you put your pipe in the ground and you put your wire in the ground, how do you really take the precaution that the tracer wire is vertically above the pipe and not offset by up to 18 inches in the trench? Because in my experience over 30 years is that wire is so light that it's going to want to move. And if you don't have somebody physically holding that wire from moving, you could lose the location of your plastic gas pipe pretty quick. And by doing that, you lose the depth of the actual depth of your gas pipe. You've lost that. And I know that in our business, we do not give out the depths of our gas lines to third-party contractors that are excavating around our pipe. We just don't do that. However, us being in the business, we want our people to know how deep it is, right? We want to know when our crews are going out to fix a leak, to put a leak band on. You know, we want to know if you know somebody's potholing along, right? We want to know about how deep. So you know, all this top of the line locating equipment can locate tracer wire pretty 100%, you know, dead to rights, the depth of it. So why would you gamble not knowing exactly how deep your pipe is? So our thought is laying alongside the pipe is probably the best here out of these options. But you have to make sure that if you're laying it alongside the pipe, you have to make sure it does not move during backfill. And that's where Innovative Trench can help out and is helping out in this situation. So there's a controversy, right? The controversy is separating the wire from the pipe could lead to difficulty in inaccurately locating the plastic pipe in the future. Right. So back when I started in the business, the best place for tracer wire, right, was on the pipe, right, taped to the pipe. Well, 2002, 2003, 2004, a lot of problems with tracer wire becoming energized. Enough problems for the feds to look at 49 CFR 192.321, which is tracer wire with plastic pipe, and they made a revision to it, which we'll cover in a couple of minutes. Some companies are willing to take the risk that a lightning strike or stray voltage is less likely to occur than a mismark. So they continue to tape the tracer wire to the pipe. You know, like I just said, we believe that one incident is too many. And I'm sure that Dr. Morrison's family would also agree that one incident is too many. So why take the risk? You can have both, and you can have a safe separation, and you can have an accurate locate in the future, which we'll get to when we talk about the solution. So I don't know if anybody, you know, on the call is familiar with this, but there are recommendations on best practices for tracer wire placement, and both the Common Ground Alliance and the American Gas Association have both published best practice recommendations of a separation of 2 to 6 inches between the facility and tracer wire is recommended. And then there's code requirements. So the first code requirement that we'll talk about is the radial separation. of gas and electric in a common trench. And the National Electric Safety Code states that communication cables from steam, gas, or flammable may not be less than 12 inches. So 12 inches is an adequate separation based on the National Electric Safety Code for separating gas and electric in a common trench. I mentioned 49 CFR 192.321E. It's kind of gray. Installation of plastic pipe that is not encased must have an electrically conducting tracer wire or other means of locating the pipe while it's underground. Tracer wire may not be wrapped around the pipe, and contact with the pipe must be minimized but is not prohibited, right? What does that mean? So does that mean that it's still okay to tape the tracer wire to the pipe? I guess you could interpret that any way you want to interpret it. But I struggled with that for a long time. So I called a friend of mine at the Office of Pipeline Safety, which, you know, obviously is now PHMSA. And I asked him what that means. And he said, well, John, he said, we don't want to deter people from the common practice of trenchless technology, which is, you know, missiling directional drilling. So contact is allowed in those situations. And that cleared some things up for me. And the way I interpret the code now is that when it's direct bury, that you really should not have contact. And if you look at the last code, and I know we have some folks on who registered for this track who are in the propane industry, NFPA 58 has the most stringent code requirement for tracer wire, and it simply states tracer wire shall not be in direct contact with polyamide or polyethylene pipe. So the incidents are happening on both the electric side, the propane side and the natural gas side. So challenges. So we all face this challenge of, you know, how do we keep compliance? How do we keep how do we ensure that our electric stays, you know, 12 inches from our gas? How do we ensure that the tracer wire does not come in contact with the polyethylene gas pipe? One of our challenges, and when I was in the utility with the LDC, is that many utilities rely on contractors to perform their capital projects. You know, facilities tend to move. You know, these folks don't go out and plan on not having the correct separation. I fully agree that they try to do what's best when they're out in the field. They try to keep separation, but in doing it myself for so many years, it's not that easy. It's not that easy to make sure that you have separation, believe it or not. And unless you have somebody that is in that trench and you have full confidence in them that they are moving things when they're being displaced from when sand is dumped on it, it's definitely a challenge. We're not out there every day. You know, many utilities have migrated to spot inspections rather than 100% contractor or crew inspections. And quite honestly, there's so much gas capital work going on that it's hard to get your inspectors to be at every job during the backfilling process. So it is a very real challenge for the utility companies to make sure that their utilities and facilities are being installed to compliance to avoid these costly and sometimes very tragic incidents. So speaking of costly, so the costs to these incidents range from, you know, a simple dig-in due to the fact that the tracer wire moved, right up to loss of life litigation. So, you know, the utility company bears the cost of the immediate emergency response repair costs for the line break or the damage. Unaccounted for gas, loss of product, financial penalties levied by regulators, which seem to be getting more and more steep on the LDCs, costs for associated investigation remediation of other parts of the gas system, searching for similar vulnerabilities, years of testimony, deposition, litigation on the management side of the business, and then personal lawsuits brought on by the affected parties. So all of these very, very costly, time-consuming for the utility company to endure. And you know, I've been on parts of this this side of the investigation too, and it's mind-boggling. So how do we feel? We feel that a true damage prevention program must begin at the time of the original installation, right? So, we do everything we can, public awareness, the stakeouts, we buy these vacuum excavators, we help these excavators. But something, a true damage prevention program is only as good as the way it was installed at the time of the original installation. And I feel like, these issues are still happening to us today. So maybe the way we used to do it isn't working for us. Maybe we need to look at things differently and take a bigger stand at trying to prevent these damages by making sure that it's done 100% correctly the first time. So now we get to talk about the solutions. So thanks for sticking with me this far. So Innovative Trench Solutions has pretty much dedicated themselves to public safety and the safety of our employees in achieving the safest trenches that we possibly can get, along with compliance, meeting the compliance regulations. So the first product that we've developed and patented is the tracer spacer for common trench installations. And this spacer was designed to meet the compliance requirements of both National Electric Safety Code and 49 CFR 192. Tracer spacer is a common trench spacer, safe separation from gas pipe to any other utility in a common trench. It ensures that the tracer wire remain in close proximity but not in contact with the pipe for accurate future locating. So basically, it ensures that your tracer wire never ever goes further than 4 inches from your pipe, right? So you're always at that recommendation from the CGA and from the NGA that your tracer wire is 4 inches from the pipe. It also ensures the tracer wire remain a distance from the electric cables to reduce any stray voltage. I've heard many times throughout my career, a locator strips back some tracer wire to do a locate, and he gets a little zap. Well, that could be coming from the stray voltage from the electric cables in the trench. Another thing that, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, this spacer allows you to actually map the exact location of the tracer wire to the pipe on your as-builts. So you can say that, if this is a road view, a street view of a URD subdivision, you can say that the tracer wire is, common trench spacers were used on this, and the tracer wire is 4 inches to the roadside of the pipe. So now when a locator goes out and puts his yellow mark down on the ground, you're 100% sure that if they use tracer spacers, that pipe is 4 inches to the field side of this installation. The other product that was developed and patented was the tracer spacer, and this spacer was designed to meet compliance requirements with 49 CFR 192, which is must minimize contact. And you can see here this 6-inch main job, absolutely minimizing contact, and it's also going to prevent that tracer wire from moving too far away from the main when they dump a load of sand on this. And it's also a little bit of a labor saving. Employee involvement. You don't have to have an employee standing down in the trench while you're backfilling this, ensuring standing on the wire or making sure the wire doesn't move. What we like to call it is just an extra walk down the trench, snapping them on. So you lay out your pipe, you lay out your wire, you walk one more walk through the trench, snapping them on, and you're done. For safety reasons, you get your guy out of the trench. He doesn't need to be down in there during the backfill. So it eliminates the possibility of tracer wire making contact with the gas pipe. We talked about the ability to map the exact location of the tracer wire to help reduce third-party damages as well, and achieve near 100% locating accuracy. So, our motto is that, the way in which we choose to install our underground facilities today will determine the integrity of our infrastructure for years to come. And we live by that. And we're here to help with that. And we've been helping now for 12, 13, 14 years since our inception. And I feel like we're making a difference, but I still feel like, as an industry, we still have more work to do. So then I would just ask, which of the following utility installations would you like to have serving your family's home? This or this? I know which one I'd pick. Well, thank you, everybody. I know it was a pretty quick presentation. They're pretty simple products, but very, very helpful products, and we hope to be able to help you all in your endeavor to promote the safest trenches possible. I'll open that up to questions, Joe, if you're still around, and thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, John, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still paying attention. I just want to say, first off, thank you. We don't actually have any questions. I had one question for you, though, that I thought maybe, and guys, if you don't want to type them in the chat box, if you want to just get off mute or whatever and ask the question directly to John, feel free. But John, the question I had was, you didn't really talk about your product in terms of what size of pipe or conduit do your spacers fit? Like, what is the diameter range?
Okay, good question. So both the tracer spacer and the common trench spacer are manufactured in sizes from 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1.25 CTS, 1.25 IPS, 2 inch, 4 inch, and the tracer spacer comes in 6 inch, and we are still in the development process of developing the 6 inch into a common trench spacer. These spacers also fit on conduit. So if you wanted to, we have some companies, some landscape companies, some water companies, some developers, construction developers that are using these to separate conduits and wire. So they're universal to fit on. There's enough flex in each of the spacers that they fit snugly on the conduit as well.
Okay, great. And I don't know if you want to talk too much about this, but I assume your product's been around for over a decade now. Is there any gas utilities that have adopted this technology and that use this exclusively? Or is there anybody that's using it partially? Where have you seen the most successes on these?
So yes, we've made partnerships with about a dozen gas utilities, LDCs in the country. Propane, we have distributorship for the propane industry across the United States. We have in Canada, we have a distributor for natural gas up in Canada. We did some work with a Canadian utility a couple of years back. Yeah, Joe. I mean, so we're pretty well covered. As I mentioned, we deal with a lot of builder developers, mostly in the South. One of the large we're piloting now with a large utility in Texas right now as we speak. Just came up this week. So
good.
So yeah, we have been helping a lot. We have partnered with quite a few LDCs right here in the Northeast. So without naming them, in person while we're on the phone or on camera, we do have existing customers in the LDC world.
I had one more, and I don't mean to be the question guy, but we talked about the size pipe. Is there a specific limitation for gauge of wire for the spacer?
That's a great question. So these were originally designed to fit 10 and 12 and 14 inch gauge wire, not inch, gauge wire, tracer wire. For one large LDC that we're working with currently, we've now developed them in an 8 gauge wire as well. So we can accommodate 8 gauge tracer wire right down through 14 gauge.
Good. Okay. I don't have any more questions. I haven't seen any more pop in the box. I just want to say thank you, not just for the presentation, but for your commitment to safety in the industry. I think that it's an overlooked fact. I think it's a relatively, and I don't mean to, oh, one did pop in here. Sorry. Well, I'll finish my thought and then I'll ask you. I think it's you know, it's a relatively inexpensive and easy addition to actually to putting in pipelines that really makes a huge impact on the safety and the prevention of damage in the industry. So kudos to you on that, for having the concept and the ideology, and thank you for bringing that to the world. You know, it's I know it's something we didn't really touch on it, but it's something that you invented, and because of your experience. And I think that those are the best products. The ones that come from the experience and the understanding of what the industry needs. We do have one up two. Now they're piling in now.
Joe, on you know, you had just mentioned cost effective, and that's one thing that I really didn't touch on. You know, these are super cost effective. You know, a little over $1, a little over $1 a piece for the tracer spacer, and like $2 a piece for the common trench spacer. And one of the companies that we invented this, one of the LDCs that we invented this tracer, the common trench spacer for, used to use cardboard boxes, right? So there were these corrugated cardboard boxes that were wax coated that this utility used to fold up and fill them with sand and put between the electric and gas. They were paying $12 per box. And we were able to help them out with $2, you know, common trench spacers. And then another company in New Jersey, a very large utility, was using wooden stakes, and they were putting wooden stakes to hold the gas line in and the electric line while they're backfilling. And you know, when you're using pounding wooden stakes in frozen ground, you're risking employee injury, you know, and then you got to go back and then they were pulling the wooden stakes out of the ground after they were, you know, the sand was applied. So we were able to help them out. In other words, you know, letting them, you know, getting away from the human element of pounding stakes and then removing them. So very cost effective, and thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, definitely. One other question, actually two more questions that popped up. The first one is, how is the performance of the spacer in like flood prone areas or very, you know, wet areas? Will it hold up? Is there any concerns with that?
Well, yes, it will hold up. They're made of high density polyethylene, the same material that the poly in the pipe, you know, is. So there's no type of, you know, chemical reaction in that. But you know, obviously, like anything else, you know, they clip on, and they clip on very tightly. But if you're in, I don't know, 2 feet of water, which I don't ever see that, but you know, you'd have to put some sand in. Obviously, you're going to have sand in there with it. But,
right.
but we've had utilities have wet trenches, and they're sandbagging the pipe to hold it down, and they're using our tracer spacers on it, and they do hold very, very snugly on it. Now, that being said, you know, you do have to be careful. Like I mentioned, it's one walk back down the trench. You have to be careful not to pull that tracer wire guitar string tight when you're pulling them down, because just like they're designed to stay on, they're designed to pull off too. If a contractor should grab one and pull it, we don't want it to pull the pipe itself. So we had to, you know, have a balance there, how tight we want it, but how loose we want it.
Understood. That makes sense.
Yeah. So we've had no issues with flood prone, or I don't know that we have a lot of these installed in flood prone states per se, but we have had these installed in wet construction.
Awesome. I think that answers the question. Thank you, John. Next question comes, these are a trench solution. Has there been consideration given to products for directional drilling?
That's a great question. You know what? I wish we could solve that. I really do. You know, right now, no. Right now there is none. There is no. You know, you have to pull that wire back with it when you're pulling the pipe, and you know, unfortunately, but that's the part of the code which is still allowed. And I know it seems kind of like, well, wait a minute. We're directional drilling 5,000 feet of this, and we're open cutting 5,000 feet of this. You know, 5,000 feet isn't going to have, it's going to be touching, but here it can't be touching. I know it's maddening It's maddening, but I think the government didn't want to shut down a very profitable type of installation such as directional drilling.
Gotcha. Well, you're a smart guy, John. I think you'll probably come up with something. And now you have a ton of time to do it, right?
I have a ton of time.
Another one here. What was the thought process that went into determining the distance at which the tracer spacer should be separated from the host pipe?
That is another excellent question, and we get that all the time. So in testing these, we developed these so they're far enough away from the pipe that you can install these 10 feet, I'll say. I think our recommendation is 8 to 10 feet in distance apart from each other. And the reason for that is between spans, you get natural slack in the tracer wire. So when we originally tested these on its maiden voyage, so we could get to that 10-foot, we literally went up and tried to make the tracer wire touch the pipe. And if you try to get, we have companies that are putting them every 15 feet and they're okay with that, right? They're okay because the code still says is not prohibited, right? Contact must be minimized and not prohibited. So we have companies that are putting them 15 feet, but we just caution them that you can put them 15 feet, but when you dump a load of sand on that, you may be closer than 4-inch, you may be touching in the middle of a span, or if the sand pushes it the other way, you could be further. So, you know, it could push that slack away from the pipe.
That makes sense.
That's an excellent question. We recommend 8 to 10 feet.
Okay, and that's just to eliminate the amount of like wobble in the tracer wire when you backfill.
Yes, it keeps it uniform.
Gotcha.
Keeps it uniform throughout the. Now that being said, you know, every trench is not straight. Every trench is not straight. There's curves. There's 90s. There's 45s. Around a bend.
Every picture I see, they're straight, John.
Yeah. Around a bend, you're going to need to put a little bit, you know, more
Sure.
frequent. If you really truly want to keep that uniformity.
Gotcha. The last question that I have right now, if anything pops up, we'll add to it. But are there any issues or problems with static electricity within the inside and outside of the gas pipe with the tracer spacer making contact with the pipe?
None identified.
Okay.
0.
That's 0. All right. Well, good. I don't know. I'll give you guys just another maybe 10, 15 seconds if any questions are going to pop up.
You know, Joe, while we're waiting for another question, I got a picture sent to me this week of a tracer spacer that was dug up after in the ground for 10 years. And, you know, this LDC that, you know, they were pretty jazzed about it. They're like, you know, every time we go to look for our pipe, it's right there. And they wanted me to see a picture, you know, and I obviously I know that once it's buried, it's not going to move, right? Stuff doesn't move. Our spacer is only there just to hold it, you know, while it's being sanded. And then another thing that just came to mind is we were on the phone with a utility company a couple weeks ago, and, you know, their crews spend a lot of time looking for their pipe. When they're out there, they have to repair a leak, or they want to put on a saddle T, you know, they want to put a service on, they find their wire, and then they spend time looking for their pipe. You know, it may have gotten displaced, you know, from during installation. You know, there's no more of that. You know, this is a time saver. You know that when you find your wire, you're going to find your pipe. Your pipe is right there.
Safety and labor cost, right?
Yeah. It's really a good product.
We got another one. What is the thought behind placing the tracer wire beside the pipe? This will cause inherent inaccuracy in the locate, causing the tolerance zone to be reduced on the far side of the pipe.
Right. So that's a question that we get a lot, and our feeling behind that is number one, you want your tracer wire at the same level as your pipe, so you know what your grade is, you know what your depth of your pipe is.
Okay.
Once you bury tracer wire above or below your pipe, you've lost the depth of your pipe. Because I'm going to tell you what I've seen over my career. I've seen people try to do that. So you have a pipe in the ground, and then you have a guy who's going like this to a guy in a skid steer. to dump some sand on the pipe. And then all of a sudden, the guy on the ground goes like this because 18 inches of sand just fell out of the bucket there, right? Now you're putting your tracer wire down. You might have 4 inches here. You might have 12 inches of sand here. You might have 6 inches of sand here. You might have 1 inch of sand here. So as far as I'm concerned, you don't know the depth of your pipe. You know the depth of your wire. And unless your contractor or your employees is spending copious amounts of time with a ruler in the trench and padding that, compacting that sand, you don't know where your pipe is. So let's talk about the tolerance zone. Great question, because damage prevention being such a high priority in the LDC's world, now getting fined, right? The LDCs are now getting fined by the public service commissions for damages and having to, to meet these performance measures put in place by the PSC. So yes, when your tracer wire is 4 inches from your pipe, if you're not using your as-built and your maps to tell you that tracer wire is 4 inches to the east or to the west of the pipe or roadside, field side, your tolerance zone will, or your accuracy of that pipe will be off by 4 inches. However, every tolerance zone that I know of is either 18 or 24 inches on either side of the pipe, plus half the diameter of the pipe. So
you're well within that parameter.
You're well within the tolerance zone, but there is a way, if you use it correctly on your as-built, to make sure that you compensate for that on your as-built, and you say, yes, here's the wire. The pipe is 4 inches if you're facing a resident, it's 4 inches to the right or 4 inches to the left. It does not compromise your tolerance zone.
Cool. This is not much. It's not really a question, but this comes from Daniel Stetson, and I just wanted to point this out for the previous question that was asked. Daniel says when he was a contractor working for a gas utility, they had to install the tracer wire into a 1/2-inch plastic pipe when hole hogging or directional drilling, so the tracer wire would not touch the gas pipe in the bore. That's just kind of a little heads up to the previous question from about the directional drilling. That might be some different methodology that they've utilized. The gentleman who did ask that, I don't know if you want to put your name on there again or reach out to Daniel. He might have some more information that could help you guys if that's something that's a problem or if you have more questions. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I'll throw this out here now. We had an idea of a honeycomb conduit. We were going to develop a honeycomb conduit that you could run tracer wire through along with a gas pipe and still maintain that separation. But I don't. It could
still in R&D, right?
Yeah, it's still in R&D, right? But it's not going to work for drilling, directional drilling. It will work for missiling and hole hogging, stuff like that. But I don't see that in the directional drilling world that would be effective.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I haven't seen any more questions pop up. So again, John, I just want to reiterate what I was saying before. Thank you for your dedication to the industry. Thank you for always working with us and being a really good friend of UPSCO's and also a friend of the industry. Your technologies, even though it seems very simple, is very, very important. And just we want to. Oh, we got one more. What is the best place for the wire using a trencher?
The best place for a wire using a trencher. So the trenchers that I'm used to, don't they put the pipe in and then some sand falls down over the pipe and then I'm not really sure. I haven't done a lot of trenching. I do know that we have propane companies that are trenching and using the tracer spacer straight up. They're using it vertically, vertically
okay.
above, leaning to the side wall, because a trencher only trenches what, 4 or 5 inches wide.
In this instance, 4 inches, he says, yeah.
Yeah, so that's another great question. We do have propane companies that are trenching and leaning it over, so it's above the pipe and offset by a certain degree.
I'm gonna put in the chat box. Actually, John, everybody, a lot of people there's a few people that are asking for your contact information, John. I think what I will do is send everybody that was on the attendee list an email out with your contact information, and they can contact you directly. In the meantime, before I get to that, I'm going to put my email in the chat box. If anybody hasn't seen, I put it in before. But you can send questions now if they're at the top of your head. Just send them to me, and I'll make sure that John gets them. But we'll send a list to John, excuse me, to all of you, to make sure that you get all of John's contact information, so you can talk with him directly on any, more additional things you guys might be curious about.
I would love that. And I should have put my contact information on this slide here.
Live and learn.
I love talking about it. Joe, you tease me a lot, right? Because I'm passionate. I've been living and breathing, tracer wire separation, utility separation for 30 years now. And not only did I live it at my company that I work for at Avangrid, I've been living it to try to help other utility companies and propane companies. And I mean, I'm even working with developers in Los Angeles, California, that are building outdoor kitchens. In Laguna, California, and they're putting common trench spacers on the fire pit and the waterfalls in the back of the, it's fun. It's my life,
I think we should go visit those guys, John, just to make sure they're doing it right.
We should do a field trip.
All right, everybody. Well, that's we're going to conclude. I just want to again thank all the attendees for coming and taking your time. I know everybody's time is valuable, so thank you for that. And we'll get you John's contact information. In the meantime, my email's in the chat box, so just you can send any questions along to me. And just one last time, John, thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you very soon.
All right, and I would like to thank you, Joe, and thank for all the participants for joining. It's very nice to meet y'all.
And I forgot, I didn't put the GoFundMe link in there. It's okay. If you want to just go on upscoexpo.com, if you guys can just click on there, if you want to donate to the cause, that'd be really appreciated. It's for the kids.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. I can't say thank you, John, for the wonderful interview, but I will say thank you, John, for the wonderful information.
From a long time ago.
I think it's a good idea. I think this might be the first good idea we've ever really had. Because, honestly, I mean, we put together probably 40 plus videos.
Yeah, easily.
That have a lot of really good information.
I will 100% say it's very
in
impressive. It's
Wow.
very, very impressive that you guys pulled those two expos off.
Wait until the next topic if we pull this next thing off.
Oh, by the way, the one thing I want to mention, if you're watching it, those are, if you didn't catch it, those are really old. That GoFundMe page doesn't exist anymore. So,
but if you want to send it directly to Joe Surratt at Venmo
just text
Cash
me.
App, hashtag money sign.
Brianna, pop it up here.
Just text me at 315-751-1677. That's my real number. No, all kidding aside, we did that for a Christmas program down in Moravia to help some kids out, and we did okay. So don't worry about that. That's why the videos are a little old. So other than that, I know the video was kind of long, so we're gonna kind of just shorten this up. But AGA boys and girls will be coming up. Chad, you have the dates, right?
Yeah, it's May. It's essentially May 1st to the 4th.
May 1st, yeah. May 30th, we fly to Dallas.
Oh, I'm gonna be back. That's
you already get your flight?
April 30th.
Yeah, I did. I got a direct flight out of.
I gotta do it too.
Me too.
But I'm going down on a day early.
We should all go there.
We all
should
gotta
be
be there Sunday
morning. Yeah.
I already booked my flight, so good luck. I'll meet you there. I don't care how you guys get there. Train, bus, car. I don't give a crap.
All right.
AGA and wonderful Dallas, actually Grapevine, right?
Grapevine, yeah.
Grapevine.
Basically Dallas plus.
Yeah, but this one's gonna be really special. I think if we can pull it off, it's gonna be really, really fun.
Yeah,
I was plugging your guys' creation.
Don't plug too much. Not a whole lot.
Details, but I was plugging.
I want to share a lot.
You can't give any details. You don't know what we're doing.
You told me.
Oh, damn.
That wasn't the truth. None of it was true.
Oh no, that was a cover story.
That
I didn't tell anybody what it was.
I normally will like let it slip to a few people. I am absolutely not until you get there. You're not going to see what we're doing. So hopefully it'll be cool. Hopefully it'll be fun. We have about 9 million things that need to come together, and a boss.
Yeah, we check one off like one a week.
Half.
Yeah, the budget thing's tough.
Budget's tough. But we're gonna have to let Teddy go to get the show done. But or actually, now you actually have to live there with your family. No, for real, it'll be good. Like, we're trying to really change it up. I think one of the things that we've been pretty consistent with since the very beginning of COVID was we wanted to change it so people are having fun. And you know, the first AGA that we did collectively together was a lot of fun, but this is a totally different ball game. So
if I look back just at 5 years ago or 6 years ago, whatever those were, because they're every 2 years typically. Like I ran across a picture of our first booth that we did, Joe, which was a little 10 by 10 corner that just had pictures of Upsco products on it and a TV attached.
Well, I remember the one that you guys went to in Nashville. That I had just began with Upsco.
That was the next.
I don't know, within a year or so before that.
That was the second one, Joe. Nashville, Orlando was the first time. Nashville, we did a little bit different. It wasn't a whole lot different, but it was a little bit different.
What did we do in Orlando?
Orlando, we had the corner.
Oh, that was our corner booth.
Yeah, and then we had a corner in Nashville too, but it was a little bit bigger. For some reason, it felt bigger. It was a different design in the booth.
I just remember the shirts
hockey on the TV, and
I just remember the shirts from your guys' Nashville one because I got them because Dan was like, "I will never wear these. You can have them."
I have a picture of Joe putting on that shirt somewhere where he was like, "I'm not wearing this shirt."
Wasn't he doing something like
the
that?
arms were like that long on him.
The flappy.
I had to roll them like 7 times and they were still past my hands. It was ridiculous.
That's also a very special show. Anyways, I remember that.
It was a lot of good shows.
I remember that one a lot, especially trying to get my stuff out of there.
All right,
by yourself.
I remember you forgetting the audio video cable, and I had to go to the.
That was more of an adventure probably than me getting out. You forget one thing in your car at the Gaylord.
And Chad was like, I left the AV cable in my car
on the front seat.
On the front seat, so I had to walk. It was like a 20-minute walk to the front to get Chad's car. Guy's like, what do you like? I'm like, give him the valet ticket because it's valet, right? I give him the ticket and he brings the car around and he's like looking at me to like give him money. And I reach in the front seat. Literally, I open the door, reach in the front seat, shut the door to hand him the ticket back. And I'm like, I'm good. He was like, what? I was like, I know.
Needed the wire.
Yeah, thanks. So that was a cool moment.
Well done.
No, AGA is going to be awesome. I'm going, Teddy. We have other shows in between there, though. I have the week of March.
SGA.
March 20th, I'll be at AMP in Denver, which is NACE AMP, whatever.
I have
AJ, I'll be there.
I have Con Expo the week of the 13th of March, and then I have the Hard Hat Expo in Syracuse the week of the 20th, and then I have the DCA workshop, DCA workshop in Chicago on the 27th.
The 27th, March 27th?
Yep.
Gotcha.
I'll be on.
Pretty busy week.
Made it for me.
What did you say?
March 13th. Yeah, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Callie made it. I'm not sure what that is.
You're at SGA, right?
Yeah, SGA in Charlotte with Mr. Adam Click.
Yeah, is Adam's going with you? Cool.
Wonderful. So the Upsco boys are going to be all over the place pretty soon.
Yeah, and unfortunately this year, we had conflicts, couldn't do OGA or KGA. So
yeah.
I mean, like I wish. I mean, and maybe I'm being a jerk here, but I wish some of these trade show associations would start looking at each other's calendar.
Yeah,
because it's really hard when you have
3 different places.
Well, it's not even that. There's the 2 different places situation, where you have like a show at the same time frame or the same week, but there's also the shows that are like, oh, we're gonna have one I'm making places up. We're gonna have one in Atlanta this week, and then the following week the other one is in Chicago. Like, it's really hard.
I don't know why they don't just. I don't know why they don't jump together and kind of piggyback each other in those things. Like that would only make sense.
Just have like the super trade show.
That's actually
Super show USA.
the Super Gas Association. We're gonna take over SJ.
Super gas.
Super Gas.
Super gas.
Everybody walk in. Super.
So anyways, guys, just so you know, I'm flying to Dallas on Sunday, April 30th. And Teddy,
What do you need, a ride from the airport?
No, I'm telling Ted because he's probably gonna
Oh.
book the same flight.
You were looking for a ride from the airport.
6:39 a.m. It leaves Sunday. That's
Now everybody knows when we're not going to be at our houses, Joe. They're going to go rob us.
Good. I have nothing here.
And I don't want to fly
Everything
direct
value-
with you anymore because every time I fly a direct flight with you, my luggage gets lost.
It happened one time.
That's every time.
100% of the time.
All right, I gotta go.
Batting 100.
All right,
I
guys.
wasn't even listening to this.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoy this new part of it. And
I'm so sorry for our pathetic effort.
Everything that we've ever done to you.
yeah.
In our defense, we did have an interview lined up for this week that canceled on us. I'm not going to call this person out, but
Very
Not our
disappointing. Just very disappointing.
very disappointed.
kidding.
in-
In
yeah, right.
Right. Sorry, Stuart Salters just emailed me upstate New York stuff for APGA, and I'm like, oh. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. We love you. Remember to click like, subscribe, share, all those good things. We'll talk to you later.
awesome sauce.